Let me tell y'all how women are manipulative. And for all of y'all who know this already, then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to all of y'all who don't know. All right? I'm talking about all y'all who don't know that when she cries to make you feel like you're the villain, that's all a plan. Even if she started the fight, even if she crossed the line, even if she just completely disrespected you, her tears are her weapon. That's an emotional guilt trip right there. That's how she wins the arguments. She's going to use sex as a reward, not for intimacy, not love, not to make you feel good, but control. If you do what she wants, maybe you'll get some. If you don't, then your ass ain't getting none for at least a week, probably longer. It's not about feelings. It is about power and control. She'll make passive-aggressive comments instead of being direct because she's mad about something. So she's going to start plotting and flip the whole situation on you. She'll say she just wants you to be honest until your honesty does not meet the requirements to enter delusion land. Then you're the bad guy for doing exactly what she asked you for in the first damn place. She's going to compare you to her ex, to shit all over you and fuck with your confidence, or pretend her ex was trash just so she can look like the victim again. But one thing most women do not ever acknowledge is this: if you are always the victim in every story, you are probably the common denominator. She'll use silence as punishment. She'll ignore you. She won't be affectionate. She'll want you to beg just so things can get back to normal. So she's talking to you. That is not emotional regulation. That's emotional control. She'll call you too sensitive when you speak up because she don't want to take accountability. She'll flip it and say that you're the problem just so she never has to self-reflect. She'll play the "you're supposed to love me unconditionally" card, even though she's got all the conditions in the world for you. Act right or get left. But don't ask her to do the same. She'll say you're not a real man anytime you don't do what it is that she wants. If you set boundaries, you're toxic or you're controlling, you're a narcissist or a cheater or all the above. And she'll tell you, oh, I am working on myself, but that's just a way to keep you hanging on while she does absolutely nothing to change. Growth is just another buzzword. Accountability is what she needs to show you. The crazy part is that she will try and convince you that you are actually lucky to have her, even though she's draining you mentally, emotionally, and disrespecting you, sucking the self-respect right out of you. I challenge y'all to call it out. Try to tell her you know exactly what she's doing. Watch how fast you become the problem. You are not the problem. You just got to take those rose-colored glasses off.
He who triggers controls his mind. We're going to discuss this. And the reason why I chose this topic is because I think a lot of ladies are afraid to trigger men or to use psychology when dealing with men. But they don't know how, or they're afraid, or whatever. But the one thing that men are not afraid to do is use the same method on women. They're not afraid at all. But for some reason, women are afraid. You fear losing. When you fear losing, you don't make moves. Okay? And you lose anyway, because you don't make any moves. So, if you can trigger a man the way that you want to trigger him, you then control how he thinks and how he feels. So when you trigger someone, you know exactly how to get a reaction out of them. You know exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it, who to say it to, when to say it, whatever. And you understand that once you trigger this person, they're going to do exactly what you know that they're going to do next. So if you want to hold any type of control, or if you want to get the person emotionally attached, you must use triggers to trigger them emotionally, trigger their ego, and all sort of things. Okay. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, just listen. I'll give you an example of how men trigger women. They will say something to get you to argue with them so that they can go out with their friends. They want to go out. Therefore, they know if they say, hey, can I go out with my friends? It's going to be an issue. You're going to say no. Then they're going to be like, no, I can't go out. But they know if they pick a fight with you or if they trigger you, you'll blow up and get mad. And then they'll be like, well, I'm leaving. I can't take this anymore, and go straight out with their friends. And that was the entire plan. So they control you. They control exactly how you feel, and they control exactly what you do, and they control, themselves being able to go wherever they want to go because they trigger you so easily. So if you understand this, you know that by triggering someone, you can pretty much do what you want to do. So when you trigger people, especially men, you got to work on that ego. Thank you, that's that dude. Libras are good at this. Pay attention. Okay. Sprinkle, sprinkle. You know, you got to trigger people. You got it. Sometimes it may cause embarrassment to them. Sometimes you may have to make them feel less than, even if it is by accident. For example, you know, if you know your man got money and he prides himself on having money or whatever it is, or he prides himself on something, you use that in which he prides himself in, and you use that as the trigger. So for example, if a man prides himself on, you know, being smart or having a lot of money, you use that against him. You're like, I know you don't have a lot of money right now, or you may be going through some financial issues and you might not be talking about them, but you know, I really got to get something done and I really need this much money. So I'm trying to figure out what I need to do because, you know, I don't want to impede on your financial troubles. What? I'm not broke. I have money. Now, you know, he got money. So when you need something and he doesn't want to give it to you, or he says, I ain't got it, he can't say he ain't got it. Now he just told you he got money. You know, if you want, you know, a man to listen to what you're saying, or if they think that they know everything and they're super smart and you want to take them down a notch and control them, you can say, you know, I know you don't know a lot about this subject, like, you know, many other people do, but you know, what do you think about A, B, C, and D? I mean, I know you're not a pro or anything. I know you don't have a lot of information, but you know, just the best of your knowledge. Then they'll go become a pro on whatever you're asking them, or, you know, whatever. And they'll come back and give you all the information. That way you don't have to do any research. And then whatever you're asking about, you can come back later and say, oh, well, you know, the thing that we were talking about? Well, I think I want to start a business, or I want to invest in that. And that sounds such a good idea. You gave me a great idea. Now it's their idea. You're so smart. Thank you so much. You are so smart. Thank you I knew you knew more. I guess I underestimated you. So do you think it's a good idea to invest in that? Yeah. How much do you think is a good idea? How much would you invest? Oh, really? That's a good number. Well, maybe I should invest that. You know, maybe that could be my gift. You know, trigger people. If it's a mama's boy, and you know it's a mama's boy, and he's acting like a mama's boy, all you got to do, it's not emasculating them, because you're also asking them a question. So you need their help, obviously, because even though they may not know about something, you obviously don't know about it at all. You see? So if you have a mama's boy situation, you can say, I know you got to go ask your mom first. I know you got to run this past your mom first. So after you run this past your mother, would you let me know if you can do A, B, C, and D? I don't have to run it past my mother. Well, you know, normally you do. So, you know, run this past your mom, get her okay and approval. I don't run everything past my mom. I don't have to do that every time. Okay, but you know, normally you do. That gets them to do it less. Okay, control them with their triggers. So that will help the mama boys out here, or the ladies dealing with mama boys. Why am I so cynical and low key petty? I'm not low key. I'm high key. I'm telling it like it is. I'm not low key. Okay, thank you. It's not being cynical. It's the game, baby. The game. It's strategy. It's called strategy. Do you call someone low-key cynical if they're on the football field using their strategy? No, it's a good play. That's a good play. Okay? This is a good play. This is the play. This is what we discuss in the huddle. Okay? You want to go somewhere? Act like you know you don't want to go. Well, what do you want to do tonight? Well, I know you're going to say no. What is it? No, you're going to say no. I don't know what, you don't never know. What did you do? Well, you always say no. So, you know, you're going to say no to the fact that I want to do A, B, C, and D. And so wherever you go, he knows you're not going to be happy. He knows he was going to say no originally if you hadn't mentioned that he's going to say no. So now he says, okay, I guess we can do that. Even though he would have said no if you would have just asked or suggested, no, let's do something else instead. No, let's do that. We did that. No, I don't like that. But if you start off, I know you gonna say no. No, it's okay. You make him pull it out of you. Trigger him as to, oh well, why are you making decisions for him? You don't know if I'm gonna say no or not. Then you sound miserable after he suggests something else. He knows you really want to do that, so he's gonna get points if he does what you want to do. This, then you're gonna be doing exactly what you want to do. That's how you gotta start off. Make sure you think about this before you open your mouth. Don't try to go back and fix it. Do it ahead of time, and then it will come out the right way the first time. Let's just say you want a new phone. You want the upgrade. My phone is glitching. Ugh, I need a new phone. Ugh, I hate this phone. How? Oh, I need a new phone. What? That phone works fine. Yeah, but it's glitching and I'm missing like half your texts that come through, and don't text them back ahead of time. It's like, I didn't get your text. My phone is glitching. Da, da, da. It's just an old phone. Maybe I dropped it too many times. I don't know. But I need a new phone, babe. I need a new phone so I can talk to you. I miss you, and I hate that I miss your calls. It's just like, it makes me so sad because I think you don't call me all day. And I'm like, why isn't he calling me or texting me? Because I sing all the texts because my phone is stupid. And then I get mad and upset at you, and I'm mad at you. And then when I get home, I have an attitude. And then later on, like down the road, all your texts come in. And it's like, it's so frustrating because I'm mad at you for nothing. And then, then I feel guilty and I feel bad. And it's just like an emotional roller coaster because I need a new phone. There you go. But you gotta make that sound real though. That gotta sound real. You gotta start crying or something. You need a new upgrade on your phone? Well, use that, girl. But you gotta plan it. You gotta not answer them.
Some women, a good number of them, are manipulative. They get into your mind with emotional blackmail and every other trick they can find. Bro, we are in trouble. You sit there watching this kind of thing and it hits you like you are not even mad. You are just tired because you realize this is not satire. It is strategy. The woman in that clip was breaking down manipulation like it is a sport, talking about triggering a man to get what you want, like men are some kind of emotional vending machines. Push the right button, get the desired reaction. And you know what? It works. Because most men do not even realize they are being played until they're halfway through defending themselves for something they did not even do. That is the part that gets me. You can literally see the blueprint, how to push his ego, how to poke at his pride, how to make him prove something. And the irony? They call it psychology. But let a man do the same thing and suddenly it becomes manipulation, gaslighting, or toxic behavior. Double standards wrapped in perfume. See, here's the thing about patient men. We're not stupid. We notice everything. We just don't react right away. We let things slide because we think patience equals love. We think silence equals peace. But what we're really doing is collecting data. We're watching how you talk when you're comfortable. We're watching what you do when you think we won't say anything. And that's when the truth starts to show. At first, it's small stuff. You tease him about not being ambitious enough. You joke about how other men treat their girlfriends better. You say things like, "Oh, I know you won't do it. You're too lazy," and laugh it off. He laughs too because he doesn't want to ruin the mood, but deep down, something small cracks every single time. The woman in that clip said, if you can trigger a man, you can control how he feels. Think about that. Not connect, not understand, control. And you wonder why so many men go quiet in relationships. Because the moment we express something real, it gets filed away as ammunition for later. Remember when you said you were insecure about money? And suddenly that becomes the weapon in the next argument. It's wild, man, because most patient men start from a place of good faith. They genuinely want to keep the peace, so they tolerate the little digs, the emotional chess moves, the subtle guilt trips, until one day, it's not peace anymore. It's paralysis. He's not calm because he's strong. He's calm because he's exhausted. And that's the pattern nobody talks about. It's not that men just snap out of nowhere. It's a slow corrosion. One joke, one manipulation, one fake test at a time. You start doubting your own intentions. You start second-guessing yourself. You think, maybe I'm overreacting. Because the moment you try to call it out, you're told you're being sensitive. And now she's the victim, again. That's how a patient man loses his temper. Not from anger, but from erosion. Not because he's dangerous, but because he's finally tired of being handled like a science project. Let's be honest. A lot of modern relationships feel like a test you never agreed to take. How much can he handle? How far can I push before he cracks? They call it seeing if he's the one. But really, it's seeing how much disrespect he will tolerate before his self-worth wakes up. And the thing about patient men, they don't wake up loud. They wake up quiet. They stop explaining. They stop reacting. They stop playing the game. And that silence, that silence, is when everything starts falling apart. Because a man who's been emotionally triggered too many times doesn't explode. He disconnects. He's still there, but he's gone. You can't manipulate a man who's emotionally numb. You can't guilt them, can't provoke them, can't sweet talk him back. Because once he's seen the pattern, it's over. He's not mad. He's enlightened. Let me tell you something a lot of men never admit out loud. Every patient man has a limit. You just don't see it because he's too kind to show it. But when you constantly play with his mind, when you poke at his pride just to feel powerful, you're not winning. You're burning his empathy. And once empathy burns out, there's nothing left to love with. The saddest part? Most women who do this don't even realize the damage. They think they're keeping the spark alive. They call it feminine strategy. But it's not strategy. It's emotional warfare. You don't build connection by triggering someone's pain points. You build resentment. You make him feel like every emotion is a trap waiting to be used against him. And then when he finally breaks, when he raises his voice, when he walks out, when he stops caring, you call him cold. You call him distant. You say you have changed. No, he didn't change. You trained him to shut down. You taught him that peace means silence, and silence means survival. That's how a patient man loses his temper, not from anger, but from erosion. Not because he's dangerous, but because he's finally tired of being handled like a science project. Let's be honest, a lot of modern relationships feel like a test you never agreed to take. How much can he handle? How far can I push before he cracks? They call it seeing if he's the one. But really, it's seeing how much disrespect he will tolerate before his self-worth wakes up. And the thing about patient men, they don't wake up loud. They wake up quiet. They stop explaining. They stop reacting. They stop playing the game. And that silence, that silence, is when everything starts falling apart. Because a man who's been emotionally triggered too many times doesn't explode. He disconnects. He's still there, but he's gone. You can't manipulate a man who's emotionally numb. You can't guilt them, can't provoke him, can't sweet talk him back. Because once he's seen the pattern, it's over. He's not mad. He's enlightened. Let me tell you something a lot of men never admit out loud. Every patient man has a limit. You just don't see it because he's too kind to show it. But when you constantly play with his mind, when you poke at his pride just to feel powerful, you're not winning. You're burning his empathy. And once empathy burns out, there's nothing left to love with. The saddest part? Most women who do this don't even realize the damage. They think they're keeping the spark alive. They call it feminine strategy. But it's not strategy. It's emotional warfare. You don't build connection by triggering someone's pain points. You build resentment. You make him feel like every emotion is a trap waiting to be used against him. And then when he finally breaks, when he raises his voice, when he walks out, when he stops caring, you call him cold. You call him distant. You say you have changed. No, he didn't change. You trained him to shut down. You taught him that peace means silence, and silence means survival. That's how a patient man loves women who see relationships as mind games. It becomes a contest instead of a connection. You stop talking about dreams and start managing emotions like chess pieces. You stop laughing together and start walking on eggshells. You stop being lovers and start being opponents. But here's the truth that no one wants to admit. Women don't respect men they can control. Not long term. The same manipulation that made her feel powerful will eventually make her feel disgusted. Because deep down, no woman wants a man she can play. She wants a man she can trust. But by then, it's too late. The trust is already gone. And that's why patient men walk away. Not because they stop loving her, but because they finally love themselves enough to stop bleeding for peace. So if you're a man listening to this, stop mistaking patience for purpose. Your calmness doesn't make you a saint if it's killing your spirit. Your silence doesn't make you wise if it's keeping you trapped. Being patient doesn't mean absorbing endless disrespect. It means knowing when to say, that's enough. And if you're a woman watching that clip thinking, it's just harmless advice, ask yourself this: if the roles were reversed, if a man made a video teaching other men how to trigger women emotionally for control, would you still laugh? Would you still call it strategy, or would you call it abuse? That's the mirror moment. Because emotional manipulation is emotional violence. It just doesn't leave bruises. It leaves doubt. It leaves confusion. It leaves a man questioning his worth every time he's told, you're overreacting. The truth is, patient men don't want control. They want peace. But peace only exists when there is respect. And respect only exists when both people stop trying to win. So maybe that clip was meant to be funny. Maybe it was meant to sound clever. But what it really shows is a world where too many people confuse love with leverage, where connection has been replaced with tactics, where the goal is not to understand each other, it's to outsmart each other. And that's how you lose good men. Not because they're weak, not because they can't handle emotion, but because they finally realize the game was rigged against sincerity. So he leaves. Not in anger, not in bitterness, just with quiet resolve. Because a man who's been manipulated too many times doesn't explode. He just never comes back. And that's the part nobody tells you. When a patient man walks away, he doesn't do it to teach you a lesson. He does it because he's finally learned his own.